Welcome to the 48th in a series of shows focused on Brookline as an age-friendly community. In 2012, the World Health Organization designated Brookline its first age-friendly city in New England. And last year, AARP also designated Brookline one of its age-friendly communities. The honors were done and worked on by a number of people: the residents of the town departments, the select board, and leadership was provided by Brookline Can, an all-volunteer organization that you may have heard of. And that group, viewers are welcome to join that group. And their activities are a group of people that work on ideas, that work on actions, and they can be joined at brooklinecan.org. Our guest today is Jake Collins, a community planner and acting as project manager of the 2040 Comprehensive Plan Update. 2040, I said. Jake Collins joined the town of Brookline 3 years ago as a preservation planner in the town's Department of Planning and Community Development. Presently, he's a community planner in the same organization. He's also acting as a townside project manager for the 2040 Comprehensive Plan Update. He also manages, of course, the town's federal block grant program. Jake went to the University of Vermont. He got a BA in art history, an MS in historic preservation, and he's now decided to join us. Welcome, Jake.
Thank you for that very kind introduction, Matt. I'm so pleased to be here to discuss the comprehensive plan.
So Jake, just to give us a background, it's interesting because we're talking about 2040 and thinking of the future. There's a lot of people that will be affected by this. And what do you think? What's your vision for the comprehensive plan and what its role is, considering the timeframes, et cetera?
Absolutely. So my vision for the comprehensive plan is I want it to be the town's land use roadmap for the next 15 or so years until 2040. I really hope that it will clarify the relationships between the town's physical development policies and our social and economic goals. A lot can change in 15 years. I really am hoping that it will be accessible to all. We're trying to have an open and transparent public engagement process. We will start at the high level, and then we will distill all the information we receive into identifiable action items that can be implemented over the course of so many years. And I really do hope that the town will hold us accountable and make sure that we are checking those items off the list.
Yeah, I think that's important. How do you work with the town administrator? I'm not sure the connections between you and Chaz.
Yes. I actually work fairly closely with both the town administrator and the select board. They are really invested in the success of this project and have been monitoring it very closely. I will note that Chaz was incredibly helpful in helping us secure external funding for this plan. Which kind of takes the burden off of the taxpayers, at least a little bit.
How's the burden on you? Do you feel responsible for this plan, or is it a lot of people?
Absolutely. I do feel a personal responsibility for this plan. Contrary to popular belief, being a client-side project manager is not any easier than being the consultant side. We do have an absolutely wonderful consultant team. Their agency out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. And they will be the ones who are actually drafting the plan.
Great.
However, on the town side, we really need someone who is familiar with the town's operations, the different groups and boards and commissions and residents, to kind of imbue it with their real personal knowledge. And I think after spending 3 years now, time really does fly, with the town in Brookline, I have kind of built up these partnerships and knowledge bases.
Yes, I believe and hope so. The, really, what is the plan itself? What is a plan? I mean, it's a plan.
Mhm.
It, give us a feel for what it is.
Absolutely. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share my screen for a second. Would that be
Sure,
okay with you,
absolutely.
Matt? Great. Thank you. So as I mentioned, the comprehensive plan will be our land use roadmap for the next 15 years. And by roadmap, I mean it will outline everything that we hope to accomplish with our land use policies. That's no small task. We wanted to touch on everything from economic development to affordable housing to open space. So the state of Massachusetts has some kind of prescriptive guidelines for what we need to include in our comprehensive plan. And you'll see them here. They range from housing to open space to transportation, which I'm sure is of interest to many of your viewers, and then services and facilities and everything in between. We do thankfully have some leeway to kind of customize it and make it our own, which is really kind of the fun part of the plan. We can say, okay, this may work for Lowell or this may work for Wellesley, but we don't think it's going to work for Brookline. Let's look at Brookline, see where our needs are, how we can accomplish them within these parameters, but make it our own. The plan impacts, what we're hoping to gain from this is policies for the physical environment. What will Brookline look like in 15 years and onward? How will the town evolve over time? Regulatory changes. I think of this in regard to zoning. Zoning in Brookline is a little funky. Anyone who's ever had to come before the planning board or zoning board or preservation commission knows this. And I think one of the main things that we're really hoping to get out of this is kind of a streamlined zoning idea of what we want our zoning to look like into the future. So whether it be form-based code, which like what we did on Harvard Street, which is kind of monitoring the massing and detailing of the building rather than the use of it, or if we want to continue to make lot sizes smaller, make them larger, make buildings taller, make them courtyards, whatever we hope will hopefully come from these regulatory changes.
So,
Yeah.
so there are kinds of things I'm looking, the
Mhm.
policies for physical environment, for instance.
Mhm.
Obviously, again, 15 years, I would imagine that we have, I'm going to do it, right? I bet everybody who talks to you starts doing things, starts imagining. But I'm imagining lots of communal spaces, the
Mhm.
open spaces handled. I'm imagining energy changes that because we're all concentrating on energy and concerned about it. You mentioned transportation, and I'm very, very interested in the next 15 years, how transportation develops, and I think everybody is. You've taken on a big thing, but
No
they're
small
important.
task.
I think
Yes.
they're really, really important. And 15 years from now, where we've gotten is going to be really, really relevant to everybody in town.
Mhm.
So I'm sorry, but proceed.
No, that's fantastic. And actually, you hit on a few points we've already been discussing. I mean, changes in green technology and infrastructure upgrades to support enhanced mobility. All these things are things that are already top of mind for me, my consultant team, and the steering committee.
So what
Investment.
happened?
Yeah.
What happened with the previous plan? Did that work out?
So it actually was fairly successful. It was executed in 2005, and by 2018, we had actually addressed most of the action items in that plan. Some were realized while others were investigated and kind of put off to the side, maybe for a later date or not at all. The one thing that we hope to change from the last plan is that all these areas in the last plan that I mentioned before were kind of siloed. So it focused on housing. Housing has a designated chapter, but can you really look at housing without looking at open space or cultural resources? So we're trying to take a more holistic approach this time around.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. What about, have you thought specifically of older adults um, and the impact on people like me or people you're a lot younger than me? Let's be it's 15 years, but but I'm interested because this is a boomer generation is here. They're
Mhm.
going to be occupying that town for the next 15 years, and how much have you considered older adults?
Quite a bit, actually. Brookline's future is not just for the quote unquote young. We have to look at how everyone will thrive in Brookline in 15 years, in 30 years, in 100 years. We see older Brookline residents facing issues that maybe weren't an issues in the past or weren't considered issued. And my hope through this plan is that we can consider issues that do impact the day-to-day lives of older residents. One thing I've heard quite a bit about is affordable housing and aging in place. People are really interested in staying in town, but may have different needs than they did when they originally moved in 1, 2, 3, some up to 4 decades ago. And also another thing that I've really pinpointed is the connectivity issue. South Brookline can be difficult for older adults. I've seen many people, note that there's no limited sidewalks or pedestrian access, and also just put transportation to the more populated areas with the services in North Brookline. And so those are two items that come to mind immediately that I would really hope are addressed in the plan.
Yeah, and the lighting in those areas would be really good.
Yes.
The darkness and the street lighting, I know it's not a 1 day thing and it's not a 1 year thing, but in a community plan for this period of time, I would expect at the end of it, us to have Brookline to be well lit as just as needed. So and I'm just going to keep contributing, you know.
Absolutely. I'm
I know
taking
you
this
want
one.
contributions. It's very hard not to. When you think of the future, it's very hard not to try to be part of it and to be input to it and to contribute to it. So it's a subject I would hope that people want to contribute to.
Yeah.
Yeah, since Brookline itself, since the beginning of that plan, have you looked back at all and seen how it's changed its nature in that period?
Oh my gosh, yes, quite a bit has happened since 2010 in Brookline. On the business front, we still face a lack of commercial tax income. We saw a rise in the commercial vacancy rate due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, we are seeing things begin to even out now. But over the past few years, we've seen some large scale studies, whether it be in 10 Brookline Place or currently in Chestnut Hill, trying to address the needs of, bringing that business income to Brookline. Residentially, perhaps one of the biggest changes, we've added almost 7,000 residents between 2010 and 2020. We see an aging population, a more diverse population. Roughly 30% of Brookline residents identify as non-white. And then, unfortunately, we see that 36% of renters in Brookline are rent burdened. It's getting to be more and more difficult to live in Brookline as time goes on. But people still want to be here. We're still one of the premier places to live in the Boston area, largely due to our schools, proximity to Boston, and our professional, forward-thinking population. However, we do kind of have the reputation of being exclusionary due to the cost of living. And that's something that, even if we don't explicitly address that in the plan, we'll have to deal with in one way or another.
Yes, I would not want that 15 years from now to be considered the same issues existing in the same. At least we should be heading some direction, and that would be great. The So how does this proceed? Before we get on into the I understand the structure is, there's a steering committee of some sort, and I'd really like to hear about that.
Absolutely.
But before you get into that, I'd just like to know, how is this plan going to proceed as far as your schedule, just so we're all aware.
Absolutely. And I will project the schedule here. So I actually have this as my computer desktop background. I'm looking at it every day, making sure that we're staying as close to the schedule as we possibly can. So we have actually just finished the pre-planning phase, where I worked behind the scenes with the steering committee, planning staff, other department staff, and the consultant to kind of get them all the baseline information to make sure that they are up to date on Brookline as a town. We are currently in the envisioning Brookline's future stage, which will go through the end of the fall. Last week, we had a couple of wonderful kickoffs, one in person, one in virtual, where people were asked to fill out what they would like to see in Brookline, what they love about Brookline, how they want Brookline to evolve. And then those questions were translated to a survey, which is open until the end of October 2024. If anyone is interested in taking it, it can be found on the comp plan website.
You reminded me. I have it waiting to fill out, but thank you. So yes, everybody, fill out the survey.
Fill it out. Fill it
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
Tell your friends to fill it out.
I will.
In the winter, we will be moving into topic-based recommendations. So the consultant will kind of synthesize what they found in the pre-planning stage with the visioning stage and come up with some potential recommendations on how to meet our goals. And then finally, planning for implementation. And this is going to be the tough part, I think. It's creating that action item list and making sure that not only we as a town can make it work, but that we are able to do it in a legal way and in a way that causes the least amount of disruption as possible.
Okay, so now the structure, the group. You have steering committee. I know that. You have an outside consultant, and they're doing a lot of work, except that you're responsible for it. But would you tell us more about the steering committee? Because that's the way we're all involved, at least partially, that represents us.
Absolutely. Yes, I have a really fantastic steering committee comprised of 16 Brookline residents, which to my knowledge is, I think, the largest group we have active right now. But we felt like we needed to be that large to accommodate, viewpoints from every aspect of Brookline. So we didn't want it to be a board created of people on boards and commissions. However, we also were drawing from those boards to make sure that we got people with really kind of both the conceptual but also the practical knowledge. So we have town meeting members, we have select board members, or a select board member, Paul Warren. We have our planning board representative, Linda Hamlin. We have someone from the Economic Development Advisory Board, Zero Emissions Advisory Board, Housing Advisory Board, the Council on Aging Board, the Pedestrian Advisory Committee, Brookline for Everyone, Brookline by Design, the Arts Community, and then the Comprehensive Plan Process Steering Committee. So we like to think that we have someone who can add firsthand really great knowledge to every aspect of this plan.
So of all those people, are any of them older than like 50, 55? Or?
Yes, many of our steering committee members are older adults and have lived in Brookline for several decades. And we feel that their lived experience will help shape the plan. I love having these personal discussions with them, either on the phone or like one-on-one or before and after meetings, because I get to hear about the problems that they face so that they can identify. But I do think that I truly believe that the steering committee members will consider how to address the issues that we've been discussing in the plan and how to integrate it. One person in particular I want to call out is Betsy Pollock, who is on the board of the Council of Aging.
Excellent.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She brings extensive knowledge and really a keen understanding of the issues that many older Brookline residents face.
Yep, that's she knows it.
Yeah, oh
And
yes.
obviously everybody's different. So there's all different factions, all different. There's South Brookline and North Brookline. There's people here a short time and a long time. People from all different educational backgrounds. You mostly Laura high, but in Brookline, there are many opinions in Brookline. We someone once told me that any issue and any question could be addressed by many Brookline people very well, each one with a different view. So good luck. No, it'll work out. They all want success. They all want success. And they all want to see, and they all care about the future. So I think that's one of the things that would be really good, is you've got people that are really looking to the future, not just protecting themselves and worrying about the current.
Mhm.
So you're in the right job, I think. Did the news get involved at all? Brookline.news? Have they been involved at this point?
They have not been involved at this point, but I've spoken to Sam, and he is excited about the process. And I imagine that they will be covering it as we start really kind of delving into the meat of the plan.
So to help him, you can send him the link to this program,
I will, yes.
because I'm sure he's not sitting and watching, but he will. Well, he might. I take that back. He
You
might.
never know.
I never know with him, because from what I've seen, he sees things or maybe he has people working with him, but they see things I would never expect. So yes, keep them informed. That would be really good. How do other older adults? I understand Betsy Pollock, right?
Yes,
How do we communicate with you on an ongoing basis, you and the project? Uh,
absolutely.
you know,
Yeah, so there are a couple ways. One is that you can communicate directly with me. So I can be reached via email, it's on the website, or if you don't use email, you can leave me a voicemail and I will return your call. Additionally, we do have engagement ambassadors, a program that will be launched within the next few weeks. And really, the point of this is to have someone boots on the ground that can do outreach to groups that are traditionally, not as involved in town government. And so the Council on Aging, I want to thank Ruth Ann Dobeck for helping me with that before her departure, kindly agreed to host one of these engagement ambassadors. And their engagement ambassador is actually Carol Caro, who I'm sure you're all familiar with.
yep,
I'm sure she'd be fine with you reaching out to her, and she will have a direct line to me.
excellent, excellent. Okay, now, what would you like to tell us about both the process, October, because I'm looking at the fall,
Mhm.
and the near term? I'm giving you the floor. I'll try not to ask questions.
Great. Okay. So really 3 points. Let's say 3 points. The first one is stay up to date. If you subscribe to our listserv, we will periodically be sending out updates that include ways to make your voices heard during the process. If for some reason you can't get them, please let me know and I will find a way to get them to you. The second thing is get engaged, whether it be by taking the survey that we have out this month. That's the most immediate way to get engaged, or sharing your thoughts with.
I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down. Take the
Yes.
survey.
Or sharing your thoughts with me or your town meeting member. We really do want to hear from you. This will be a transparent process. We are certain of that. We're really kind of staking a reputation on that and making a plan that helps all Brookline. And on the third point is buckle up. It will be a fun ride, but it could be a bumpy ride. But
Yeah,
we in Brookline, we always get through it.
yeah. The other thing that dawned on me is the connection between us and everything happening around the world. Not now,
Mhm.
not now, but as we move forward, our relationships to state, government, other organizations, is that part of the planning, or is it just intact in the town itself?
So it will look at Brookline through a local lens, but I feel that during the the implementation process, we will have to look at how we are engaging not only with Brookline, but with our community, with Boston, with the greater Boston area, and
Exactly.
yeah.
So I have a big question.
Okay.
Right? In the 15 years, are you assuming we'll be a city or a town?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I have worked in both town and city governments, and they both have their pros and cons. I think that we are a very successful town, but becoming a city may open up some new opportunities for us.
I'll leave it there. I just,
Yeah.
unless you want to contribute, if you want to participate in that discussion, that's fine. But I also do think, as I'm looking at your schedule, and we're all looking at your schedule, I think, um, I do think that over those times, you might want to come back here over the next 2 years, as much as you want, and in order to contribute and to participate, to bring in the participation that you want. You might even have more surveys. You never know. But
Absolutely. Let's make that happen, Matt.
so, is there anything else you want to cover?
Not at this time. Thank you so much for your time, Matt.
Very good. Okay, thank you, Jake. I do want to tell you that I did say you're welcome to come back, but I did want to tell people that this show might be rebroadcast a number of times during the following weeks. That often happens depending on the schedules. That we're also available on the Brookline Can website. And again, invite people to join Brookline Can if they would like to. In addition, the Brookline Can Twitter and X, or Twitter and Facebook accounts also will have the program available. So thank you, everybody. Take care and be safe.